Good morning, friends. Sorry it took so long to get on here. When you're really excited about something, it seems like everything kind of hops in to challenge you a bit. My laptop, I had to reboot my laptop spur of the moment, and it took a long time. So usually I can hop right on here and stuff, and it wouldn't even bring my, it wouldn't even open my camera on my laptop to do this. So I'm going to share this video while a couple people hop on. So today's topic, hi Tammy, say hi when you hop in. So if you don't already know me, my name is Jeray Pearson, and I am a health and wellness coach and a life transformation strategist. I'm all about everything that's high vibe. Hi Kristen, hi Amanda, hi Danielle. So today's topic, the reason that I love today's topic so much is because it isn't just cut and dry what I'm going to talk about today. I have found that in my coaching, when I start talking about self-love, most people kind of disregard the topic, where they kind of are like, oh no, I'm good there. I love myself. And, but the secret is that, when we are lacking self-love, it doesn't really show up as like self-loathing, right? It's not like we just dislike each other or ourselves. It shows up in a lot of these really kind of subconscious, not real obvious ways. And so that's what I want to talk to you guys about today. So I have one more share here. Make sure that I got it everywhere, since I promised everybody I would be all over the place today. Okay, so when you're talking about self-care, it shows up in a lot of different ways. And so what I'm going to do is I have got a bunch of examples that I'm going to give you guys. And then I have 5 or 6 sort of, real world ways that you might feel if you're lacking some self-love. So when I am, looking, because I'm a very intuitive coach when I do my coaching. And so when I start coaching a new client and kind of figuring out which way to go first with them, what area to work on, whether, a lot of the times they come to me because they want weight loss or something. And sometimes the thing that's holding them back, from their weight loss goals or other goals is some of this stuff. And so when I'm first starting to coach somebody, I'm really intuitive and listening, to the things that they are telling me about their dynamics in their relationship and, the different things that they have going on that they're displeased with in their life, and sort of looking for some of these cues sometimes. And so I'm just going to run off with some of these here. Go ahead and say hi when you hop in. Hi, Travis. Long time. Hey, Josh. Hi, Stephanie. Brandy, Wendy. Judy. Hi, guys. Okay, so some of these are really obvious and some of them are not. So sometimes when we just continue to do something that we don't like doing over and over again in our lives can be a big sign. Like if you have a job that you've disliked for 10 years, but you're still there and, doing it every day, then that's something that you might be lacking some self-love, because we're not going to force somebody we love to do something that they hate every day, So get real with yourself about the jobs that you're in and where you're spending the majority of your time. And ask yourself, if you're doing things that you really love every day, or if maybe you're forcing yourself to do things that you don't love doing every day. I'm a little bit glitchy and I'm concerned. So will you guys let me know if it gets too glitchy, if you can't hear me or something like that? Will you guys please let me know? So another thing is, when you make mistakes, how do you internalize the mistakes that you make? Sometimes when we make mistakes that, just in everyday life, even if it's a car accident, getting, in a fender bender or something, how do you internalize those things? Do you really beat yourself up over it for a long time? How do you verbalize it to other people when you're telling them? That's also sometimes a good cue. And if you're critical about the decisions that you're making and the things that you do, that's kind of a more obvious thing. You're you know, the way that you're behaving is something you can really pay attention to. So, hi, Dawn. I'll see you in the Clear the Cobwebs group here in a little bit, too. I might be a few minutes late now, though. So another big one is your health. So if you put off things like going to the doctor or the dentist, or even skipping, if you skip meals frequently because you're, you know, busy doing other things. Okay, Brandy, keep me posted. I had to reboot my laptop, and you know, when you reboot, everything starts kind of reloading. I think that's what's going on, so I'm hoping that we'll be okay here in a few minutes. So the things like, you know, the not eating regularly, not just the clean food, there is a learning curve to clean eating. But, you know, we kind of know if we're not putting any attention into our health at all. You know, if you're not making any effort to eat somewhat clean, or you're not, you're not getting any fitness in, you know, you're not active at all, you know, things like that, we need to look at. So also, speaking up for yourself is a really big one. Often when people don't want to stick up for themselves, or they don't, you know, they avoid conflict a lot, you'll hear people say, I just really don't like confrontation. Those types of situations also show you that you might be lacking a little bit of confidence, or a little bit of, of course, you know, nobody really wants to be confrontational, right? I mean, but we have to do some things to stick up for ourselves when we love ourselves, you know, so that these patterns don't continue happening. Because it's when we hide away and we don't share our voice that things continue to happen. Also, when things in your house are disheveled, or in your environment, such as, your plants. This is something that, you know, I kind of have to every once in a while keep track of. We get really busy. But we also avoid when we're a little bit anxious or depressed or lacking some self-love. And so when your house is really out of sorts, like say, getting too overly cluttered to where it's almost a hoarding situation, or your refrigerator's never cleaned out, it's always got like moldy food in there, or your plants are dying because you don't have, you're not keeping up on things like that. Believe it or not, your external surroundings are a reflection of what's going on internally with you. And so those can be also cues that you need some work in self-love. When I was talking about, one of the other things I want to talk about with the health stuff is, hey, Rachel. Hi, Jeff. For example, if you have a headache for 3 days, is that something that you're going to go get checked out, or are you ignoring it? Things like that is what I'm talking about. If you have achy joints for a long time and you're kind of suspicious that there might be some, rheumatoid arthritis there, or, your muscles are achy and you feel like you might have fibromyalgia or something, but you're not really going to the doctor to see what's going on, that is also a sign that you might not be really putting yourself and your needs first. Hi, guys. Hi, Jess. Okay, so when it comes to, this kind of goes off of what I was talking about with the job. If you are doing something that you don't like doing, or you wish that your life could be going a different way, but you're not really making any real, action steps to make that happen. This happens a lot. I'm a confidence coach, and I'm always, telling everybody to, live their dreams and live as big as possible. Bring yourself as much joy as you possibly can. This is one of the things that is so rewarding for me when somebody starts doing the self-love work, is when they start believing in themselves to a point where they start, pushing outside their box and doing these things, reaching for dreams they didn't think they could have before, or incomes they didn't think they could have before, or whatever it is. All right, I'm going to shift gears a little bit, and I'm going to start If you feel like this is helpful, by the way, if you could share this video, that'd be fantastic. I really, I want to spread this message as much as I can, because this is immediate. This immediately changes people's lives. So when somebody starts really working on the internal work, it affects everybody. It ripples out. Their immediate family members can feel it and have increased joy in their lives just by what that one person is doing. So if you are enjoying this at all, if you could share on your page, that would be amazing. So how does this feel? So when you are having these feelings that I'm going to talk about right now, these are good indicators that there is something going on and that you might want to look a little deeper into the self-love. So if you feel disconnected from yourself, from others, and from God or source, whoever you pray to, if you are feeling disconnected, then that is a sure sign of something, of a lack of some sort of love for yourself. When we are really busy, which we all are very busy, we don't necessarily put our own self-care first, meaning we don't have downtime like we should. Sometimes we don't even get any alone time to ourselves for, weeks at a time as parents. And that when you are not able to fill yourself up, it's really hard to give. And so there is this disconnect that you feel. And also this is a big, I don't know if it's the reason, that's not the right word, but when you have anxiety and depression, feeling disconnected is one of the main feelings that people have. And anxiety and depression is also one of the signs that I'm talking about right now, that I'm about to talk about. So, so if you, for example, when you don't know what you love, what fires you up every day, like what passions do you have, we get out of touch with all of those emotions, right? And when you don't know yourself, when you don't have a relationship with yourself, you're gonna feel disconnected, because your higher self is what's guiding you to live a joy-filled life. And when you aren't in contact with your higher self, because you're just living in your human body every day, letting things kind of happen to you, for you, around you, there's a huge disconnect there. And so that's in the self-love work, that I teach. I'm always talking about, what are the things that make you who you are? You have to really know what makes you who you are in order to feel whole inside. And that goes into relationships. So if you have unhealthy relationships with other people, this is definitely part of the reason why. Whether we want to own it or not, we contribute to every relationship that we're in, whether we are completely denying it or not. Any relationship is two-sided. And that doesn't mean that you're, the jerk in the situation or whatever. It just means that your contribution is allowing for that dynamic to take place in some way. So when you find yourself in toxic relationships with friends or, lovers, whoever, over and over again, that is a big sign that you're lacking self-love. The most obvious is, of course, we're not going to be around people that don't value us if we love ourselves. So if we find ourselves in close relationships or, in close proximity, I don't mean closeness meaning, we're besties or anything. I just mean, we're around people even in a work environment all the time. But it becomes a toxic situation, even where people feel, hey, Jenna, even where people feel like they have the right to put their opinions and things on you. You allow for that if that's happening to you. There's a way that you could handle it differently, most likely. So that's what I'm talking about. And I hear this a lot where people are dissatisfied in their friendships. especially as we age. You know, we all get really, really busy, and we sort of get steadfast in who we are, and, you know, a lot of different things, and people change and whatever. And so it's important that we understand that if we are feeling things like we're feeling rejected from a friend, right? We need to look at that feeling and make sure that it isn't something that we would feel regardless, you know, whether it was them or someone else that said something or whatever, because a lot of the times we're seeking out some sort of a feeling, and every time that somebody doesn't hit that for us, it's like a raw spot, you know, like, so we want everybody to love us. We want everybody to show us that they love us. And so every time that, say, somebody's in a hurry and they just flippantly go, oh, hey, you know, whatever, and then they run off, and it hurts your feelings a little bit because they didn't like really give you any attention or any of their time or whatever. Was it really their fault, or was it the fact that you really needed that feeling, you know, feeling filled by them at that time? Because a lot of the times it's not intentional on the other person's side. They're really trying to love you. They're really trying to show you love, but in that moment they just weren't thinking, and they just did their other thing, and then you interpreted it based on your underlying emotions, which we all do. So the relationships is huge, because if you don't have self-love, you're going to seek love from other people more and be disappointed more, because other people we all are, you know, we have our own responsibilities, and you know, our kids come first. We have to show our kids love first, all of this stuff, right? So if you know, a lot of the times we're like, I deserve to be treated, you know, better than this, you know, I deserve to be treated better than this. But the truth is, we absolutely deserve to be treated better than this, but it starts by treating ourselves better, not anybody else. So, you know, we can't be always looking to the outside to get fulfilled. And so that's why that's so important. If you are also feeling disconnected from yourself and from others and from God or source or your purpose, you will often kind of hide away in a lot of ways. You know, sometimes people become real recluses in their homes, you know, where they don't really want to go out very often. They're introverts, but not because that's what they want to be, but it's because they have some fear of really showing people how awesome they are, because they don't see it. So before you really see your personality, maybe I should tell you guys a little story. This was hockey playoffs, and, you know, I get super crazy over hockey playoffs, but this year totally topped, like, I don't know. I really went off the deep end this year with playoffs, especially the last home game that we had. It was just an amazing game. We were down a bunch. We had to win this game or we were out of playoffs and whatever. And I was heckling the goalie like I never have before. I was yelling at the refs like I never have before. I was like, you know, it's playoffs and they are kids, you know, 20 at the oldest. And so I don't typically like, you know, like heckle the players, but I was just like, I was on that team. Like I should have been on the roster that night because I was so fired up. That night, I had a lot of people around us high-fiving me and telling me, I'm living vicariously through you right now. And one guy was like, asked when he was leaving if we have season tickets because he wants to make sure that they're sitting by us next season. You know, all this stuff that I would have never done that even last season. You know, not cared. Everyone, I was probably the loudest person in those 3 sections in that game. And, you know, I'm just a 5'2" little girl. And I had like full grown men that were just like, yeah, what she said. And, you know, all of that. It was super fun. And it felt so amazing to just be authentic and not give a shit what anybody around me thought. I was in my element. I was just, having the best time of my life, and they actually appreciated it. You could see that it was making other people start chants and doing all this other stuff because I didn't care. I was really in it. So as a coach, recognized when I was leaving, I was really excited, because these are the moments that when my clients have these moments that I get really, I'm really excited about, because it's just growth, it's just growth. I was so timid and afraid to show people who I was before. And now to just kind of be able to be like, hey world, like this is what's going on. And, I love this and whatever, come along for the ride type of a vibe is kind of how it felt. And so, that's what we're looking for. When we're disengaged and we're hiding away, yes, I would enjoy the hockey game, but would it have been like that? No, not at all. I would have enjoyed myself. I wouldn't have made any new friends, which I did, friends. We friend requested each other right there and stuff. That's how we should feel all the time, able to just live in our authenticity all the time. So, health, let's see, escaping. Sometimes we also, we escape things by drugs and alcohol. That's also an escape. And when you see that people have issues with drugs or alcohol, this is where it comes from. So, love them as much as you can. Understand that when people are really struggling, this is where we get to start, showing love. And when I've done a lot of work on self-love. I'm in no means done, right? And none of us really probably are, because you don't really finish. It's, because you backslide and you realize like, oh, wow, I haven't done anything for myself in a while. Hey, Michelle, Gina, hi, Melinda. Like I said, share this if it's helpful to anybody. But when you are able to love yourself and you start showing it, it changes your relationships, and you're actually able to start building the connections that you want with people. When you're able to show love from the inside because you're filled up, and I'm not seeking anything out from anybody. I'm pretty fulfilled. If I don't hear from you on my birthday, I'm not going to notice probably, because I'm going to know that you had your own stuff going on, and I've got my own stuff going on with my family, that type of a thing. That's where we want to get to. We want to get to the point where we're not expecting other people to fill us up. So as long as we are really disappointed all the time in the dynamics that we have with our relationship, we have to take some of that responsibility on ourselves and realize that we're not perfect. We don't have to be perfect. We can just own it, own our past, where we got a lot of these ideas about ourselves and doubts about ourselves, and own it. Realize that, we learned our skills for a reason at that time, but they're just not freaking serving us anymore, right? So we aren't going to hold on to those old skills that don't serve us. We're going to learn all the things we love about ourselves, learn to admire ourselves for the real traits that we have, the real qualities that we have. We all have amazing qualities, but our human mind does this really crappy thing, and it focuses on negative. And we have to force our minds to stop that, to stop focusing on the negative stuff. We can find negative. We know this. We can find negative in any situation, event, anything, if that's what we're looking for. We don't want to look for that in ourselves anymore. We don't want to listen to that anymore. If we have toxic people in our lives that are constantly reminding us of every fault that we had, when we are completely aware of it ourselves, we don't need to put up with that, and that's part of self-love, is standing up for yourself, or having the confidence to say, wait a minute, I'm just fine how I am. Thank you very much. And going on with our daily life and not letting it really affect us when other people aren't aren't where we are or where we think they, want them to be or whatever. So that is my pep talk for today. I will be here every week now on Mondays, 9 a.m. and I'll try and I'm just going to reboot at night so that when I come on, I won't have to reboot and be late. I have got my group. I'm doing weekly trainings inside my group for free. So if you're not in my group already, I will post the link in comments so that you guys can. I don't think I'm seeing all the comments, but I will post. I'll post a link to the group if you want to do that. Clear the Cobwebs. Today's the last day to get into the Clear the Cobwebs program. That is a Mindset for Nutrition program for 3 weeks, $44, and we're rolling today. So got our first journal prompt probably right about now being posted in there. And so we're going to dive in there. So if you're interested in that, shoot me a message or comment, or I'll even put a link down there for that as well. If you have certain topics that you're interested in, I'm always willing to hear those and implement them into my weekly topics. So Monday mornings, 9 a.m. here, or Tuesday afternoons at 2 p.m. all Pacific Daylight Savings Time, and that's inside my Well Tribe group on Tuesdays only. So you have to be in the private group in order to get those trainings. So tomorrow's training in the group is going to go off of this. I'm going to give them some action steps they can take to sort of work on their self-love. So, all right, you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope that your week starts off super amazing. I'm always here holding space for you. If you ever need anything at all, feel free to reach out to me, and we can set up some sort of an appointment where we can talk or whatever might be helpful to you. So I will talk to you all back here soon, Monday for sure, but I'll be in here a couple times before then. Have a great day.